Bienvenidos al podcast de Latino Founder Hour.
Each week, we invite you to spend an in-depth hour with us as we speak with a Latino startup founder from somewhere around the world.
Aquí conocerás esas historias de éxito y fracasos, retos personales y lecciones aprendidas.
And we have fun. We're live every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. Tune in at startupradionetwork.com.
O en versión podcast después del show. Escucha,
Listen,
aprende,
learn,
y emprende.
launch.
Hola, muy buenos días. ¿Cómo están? Les habla Edgar Navas, el pres de Cliqa. Y le damos la bienvenida a Claudia Cárdenas. ¿Cómo han estado?
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Edgar? Estoy feliz de estar aquí otra vez después de 5 semanas que me aventé de vacaciones. Buen día a todos, bienvenidos a Latino Founder Hour. Gracias por escucharnos este día tan hermoso aquí en la ciudad de Portland, hoy viernes 9 de marzo. Está hermoso el día.
Precioso día, ¿eh? Y bueno, pues
sí.
Bienvenido otra vez, Claudia. Qué bueno que estás de regreso con nosotros. Y pues bueno, nada más le queremos hoy dar la bienvenida a una invitada en Miami.
No, en Nueva York.
Ah, Nueva York. Originaria de Miami, perdón. Originaria de Miami, sí, cierto.
Sí.
Pero, pues tiene una historia muy interesante, ¿no? Y compagina mucho contigo, Claudia.
Sí,
Entonces,
estaba leyendo acerca de Tanya. Bueno, hoy hablaremos de nuestros empresarios en Estados Unidos y tenemos una gran invitada, como ya les habíamos comentado. Ella está en Nueva York, originaria de Florida, y su nombre es Tanya Alvarez y su compañía se llama Owners Up. Gracias, Tanya, por estar aquí con nosotros. Buen día.
Gracias, mucho gusto.
Bueno, somos empresarios latinos, cada día más exitosos en Estados Unidos y en la actualidad estamos aportando más a la economía del país. Estoy feliz de tenerte aquí porque, como te digo, estaba leyendo tu profile. Me dijiste que English, vamos a hablar Spanglish aquí, ¿verdad? Hoy, Tanya.
Sí.
Ok, perfecto. Tanya, ¿de dónde eres originaria de Florida? ¿Nos puedes dar así como que una referencia tuya de dónde vienes, cómo en dónde creciste? ¿Cuál fue tu defining moment que le decimos, ¿no? para ser un empresario exitoso aquí en Estados Unidos?
Mi padres son colombianos y nací en Nueva York y crecí en Miami. Y Owners Up es my fifth company. Y la primera, I started it when I was 25 years old. And as I was going through all the company stages from starting bootstrapping to investing to actually raising money, what I realized is I wish I had a support structure that is similar to accountability, where I can access entrepreneurs in a small group and really encouraging me out of my comfort zone. And that's how Owners Up started. So we built out software and we do weekly video calls with solopreneurs.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about where did you get this idea of how, who's an entrepreneur in your family? Who gave you the idea of being a hustler?
I think it started when I was young. My mother raised all four of us. She was a single parent, and she was the first one to always encourage me. So when I started my first company, I was actually really scared to make the jump. And I called my mom, and she was just like, well, what do you have to lose? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I guess I don't have to lose much. And I go, what happens if I fail? And she goes, you'll be exactly where you are right now. Exactly. And I go, what happens if nobody wants to hire me? And then she says, you don't want to be in that company. And then I was like, when I really realized that, and just the support, coming from a land family, my sisters and my brother and I, we're constantly WhatsApping, calling each other, and that support structure is so important. So with the encouragement of my family, I was able to start my business.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have a similar story to yours. Like my grandma always had restaurants in Mexico. I'm from Colima, Mexico. I was born in California, but grew up with my grandma, and she is the one that gave me the push of like being get up in the morning, 4 a.m, and get out there, and then have a lot of clients, and then being always like busy. So I always watch her, and then always saying like, I want to be like her. I want to be able to have my own company, my own business, to be able to help other people. Like she was an amazing person where like she started giving jobs to others, and that's very important. And then that's something that we need to put in consideration when we open a business. You are helping somebody else to start their own dreams too, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and allowing them to make an impact. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then just a little bit about this, that you said that you were scared to make the jump. I think everybody is scared to make the jump, right, Edgar?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the first step, that everybody, has to just take the plunge, but it's scary, to look into the abyss and see like, wow, I don't know how deep it's going to be. So
Exacto.
Let's learn or die.
Exacto. Ayer tuve un cliente que tiene 20 años trabajando en una compañía, en una pizzería muy reconocida aquí en Estados Unidos, y me dice, es que yo le quiero ayudar a mis padres en Guatemala. Y le digo, bueno, ¿qué es lo que tú quieres hacer? Quiero empezar mi propio negocio, pero tengo miedo. Y lo mismo que estaba diciendo Tanya, miedo. ¿Vas a seguir siendo la persona que eres ahora si no funciona?
Y si no funciona, es una experiencia y ya aprendiste a qué no hacer, ¿no?
Exacto.
Pero nunca vas a aprender si no tomas ese primer salto.
Sí. Bueno, Tanya, ¿y qué fue lo que te llevó, lo que te motivó a crear esta empresa?
I've been a competitive athlete, and so I was running, so estaba corriendo cuando estaba 15 años, and I realized that even though it's an individual sport, when I'm in a team, I'm really, really pushed out of my comfort zone. So I was looking into this, and I was like, well, they have this in sports, right, where you have a team, you meet, you can share each other's like challenges, you have different goals, and you have a coach to make sure that you're going the right direction, and then you're tracking and logging your workouts. So why don't they have this for entrepreneurs?
Exactly.
And that's what I did. I was like, this is a system where when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, or even when you're at that 1 million to like 3 million mark, you need that constant support because your business is changing so much. So meeting just monthly with people just doesn't work, because it's like, oh, next month, let me tell you everything I went through.
Exactly.
And Tanya, tell us. So you started a business back, a few years ago called Blink Ads, and was that your first business that really broke the $1 million mark in revenue?
Yes, that was my first business.
How was that experience to see that first, first achievement? I mean, it's a humongous achievement to get that first mark, and how does that feel?
It was amazing, but what was surprisingly is I always thought that everybody, like in this, especially now, back then, I started that company when I was 25. I'm approaching 40, and we didn't, like, Facebook wasn't around at that time. But it's always like I was always reading all these successful business owners. So I assumed everybody was doing millions. And now looking back, I just realized I think the stat is like only about less than 20% of companies, or maybe it's 10%, I don't know the exact stat, make over 1 million in gross revenue. Oh, and wow. Here I was comparing myself and thinking, oh my God, I'm not even there yet. As an entrepreneur, I just want to tell everybody that, just go on your own journey, especially with Facebook out there. Don't compare yourself, and the journey you're on is perfect. But yeah, back to that question. Yeah, it was amazing, going from like college debt to over 1 million within the first year. I was working really hard. Wow. And once again,
that's impressive.
Yeah. And that first year, like if I didn't have a support, like just a support team, I don't know if I would have made it that first year. Exactly. So that support team consisted of like business owners, family, friends, encouraging me. And it was an incredible journey, and then continued growing. And we actually grew it out to we had an office in Colombia, Bogota, and we're really looking to expanding to the Latin American market.
Okay. Wow. Impressive.
That's really
and now, is that support network something that you seek out, or something that you already had organically? How did that happen? Because, most of the entrepreneurs face a long time of loneliness and it just self-preservation.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know if it's just a Latin culture, but I felt very encouraged within my family. And then from there, what I did is I also seeked out people. So I would go to events, and if there was somebody speaking, I would go up to them and ask them, hey, I would love to speak to you further. And most of them would reply back. Everybody was willing to help. It's a funny thing that right now, most people love giving advice on helping others, but people don't like asking. So if you're asking, you're that few percentage that ask, and you'll be able to move forward quicker.
Totally, yes. So, Tanya, I've been working with, trabajo para las cámaras de comercio de las ciudades en donde vivo, y gracias a emprendedores como tú, que encuentran esa solución para esa necesidad tan grande que tenemos para las personas que están abriendo sus negocios o que quieren crecer sus negocios, es como encontramos el éxito. Trabajo, como te digo, para la Cámara de Comercio, y he encontrado a personas como tú, los mentores que nos han ayudado, y ahorita es lo que quiero reafirmar. Quiero reafirmar que tenemos que tener un grupo de mentores que tienen different skills, tienen diferentes
aptitudes.
Capacidades, exactamente. El inglés se olvida aquí. Voy a comer unos frijolitos, decía mi amigo. Y estas personas que nos pueden ayudar a que nuestros negocios crezcan de una manera. Las cámaras de comercio se han vuelto muy monótonas, en el sentido de que, estamos ofreciendo este servicio, pero nada más. Nunca van a la extra milla, ¿no? Al cómo podemos crecer tu negocio. Te vamos a dar simplemente las conexiones, pero ahí nosotros nos lavamos las manos y no
metemos las manos en el sartén.
Exactamente. ¿Estás de acuerdo, Tanya?
Yeah, I think definitely the mentors, but also I would also include people to keep you accountable. So you might get all the advice, but what ends up happening is most people get overwhelmed and they don't follow through.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
and accountable also, following certain metrics. I believe. Yeah. So is that something that you guys do in your new company, Owners Up? Can you tell us, how you found it? How did that vision come about?
So it was based on what did I wish I had, and what could I piece together, and especially with all the software out there for athletes, right? That they're tracking their progress. So I was like, this would be great for entrepreneurs. So what we do is we put entrepreneurs in groups of 5 on video calls. So they meet up every week. And then we built out a software that has 3 components to it. One is goal setting. So the hardest part about being an entrepreneur is knowing which goals to go for. Sometimes we do goals that are comfortable, but aren't the ones that are going to move us forward. Or sometimes we don't even know which goals to go after that's going to move our company forward.
Exactly.
So we need others to kind of hey, why aren't you trying this? And you're like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So
Exactly.
they end up writing their goals in this app, and if they don't meet their goals, they have to sing in front of the group.
Okay.
So we keep them accountable in a fun way.
Exactly.
And then actually we have them sing La Cucaracha. We have them in Spanish because most of them are American speakers. So they have fun with that one.
So you teach him how to sing La Cucaracha?
We just have the lyrics and we put the music on and they go for it.
Like karaoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would like to see that.
We need to start that over here. Before we start, they were saying cucaracha. Perfect. I like that.
Yeah. And it's the funniest thing. We tried so many things to make sure that people are accountable, and that is the one we've tried penalizing them. We tried giving them a prize. And the one that works is singing a song in front of other people.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's a good one now.
Yes. So,
And then the second part of the software is writing down what you accomplished for that day. And then the lessons you've learned. So as entrepreneurs, we're moving so quickly that we don't actually get to take the time to reflect and see what we actually learned and if there's any patterns. And then what the app does, it actually grabs the data and charts it to show how you can work smarter and where you can improve your business.
Definitely. So what would you recommend for me? I am I'm a mentor for Latino businesses here in the Portland and Beaverton area in Oregon. So what would you recommend for me to do to help these entrepreneurs?
So many things. What are you doing now?
I'm a business coordinator.
For the Chamber of Commerce.
For the Chamber of Commerce, yes.
So right now, actually, I am there. There's one in New York. It's called Womenentrepreneurs.New York City, and it's run by the government. And they're doing a workshop where they have. I'm actually the one who's keynote speaking on that one, and so we're kind of showing entrepreneurs how to set goals, and then what we do is we put them in groups of 5 afterwards to brainstorm their goals for that month.
Okay.
And then we're providing the Owners Up software so they can keep accountable to each other. So, and then the people who don't want to do the Owners Up software, we're putting them in a Facebook group, and then they can actually say what their goals are, and then just kind of announce it, ask for help, and support one another.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about Owners Up. So what's the service that you provide for businesses?
So what was I saying before? It's the app plus the weekly video calls.
Okay, weekly video calls. Okay, that's
and then
amazing.
they have an app that's every single day where people get to read other people's what they're doing on their day and being able to support them in real time.
Okay, and then do you help a lot of Latinos?
We do. Most of them, we have people in, 2 people, one in Colombia, one in Mexico. So we are international.
Oh, wow.
And we have people from Arizona, California. I don't have anybody from Miami yet. I got to look into that one.
Okay. That's awesome.
Now,
That's
do you guys
strategy.
do you guys do it in Spanish as well, or just English?
We do it in English.
Okay, but the service is available for anyone that speaks English. Okay.
Yeah, and if we did have a large presence of only Spanish speakers, we would get a facilitator that has grown their business over 1 million that only speaks Spanish.
Okay.
So I love that, like to be a solopreneur. Like I just learned that word today. It has forced to help me to learn how to handle all aspects of the business. I read that in one of your pages. So that's amazing because that's exactly what we do when we have a business. Like we learned everything, and then even though that we don't know how to handle like the finance part and the marketing and the legal part, you learn all that. And do you want to say something?
But like Tanya says, you need a support network. You can't do it on your own. I mean, we try to navigate on our own, but we definitely need all the people to look after us.
Totally.
Yeah, then you learn lessons. Like I know within my first company, I had a client that was paying me $100,000 each month, right? And then all of a sudden they weren't paying their bills. And I was like, what's going on? And they would give me a notice and I would forgive them, right? And sooner or later, I was out $100,000. And when you go to people who don't run a business, they're like, just sue them. And actually suing isn't the best advice because the time and energy you put into it is just not worth it. So you figure out other ways to collect. But so if you do everything yourself, it's just you have to really think about where you're spending your time and what's the ideal place to spend your time so you have the best return on investment.
Absolutely. It's all about ROI because I had a similar experience, trying to chase some very large debt that was due to me. And at the end, one of my best friends that is an attorney said, like, look, you could either pursue this, go through the course, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to end up spending more time in that, devoting more resources, or you can start building your new startup and get going. So, it's either a write-off or you continue with this misery, and that's also consuming you on the inside. And, it's one of the best advices that I've seen, through a friend of mine, like, okay, joking, no joking. I think you should just dump this and move on. And it's a hard pill to swallow because it's a lot of zeros.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's not like, oh, okay, no worries. $30,000-$40,000. Like, I don't need him. No, I do need him. But is it really worth the squeeze?
Yeah, and you got lucky that you had a friend who was a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got tons of friends that are lawyers. So
yes. So that's the first advice actually that I give to my clients. Like, you're going to start a business, you need a lawyer. You need legal advice. A good lawyer.
Or great lawyer.
A good or great lawyer. That's good. I'm going to say that too.
Yeah. No, you don't need a lawyer. You need a great lawyer, because we've also learned some lessons in business.
Yeah,
that like, hey, a big name. I won't repeat what my friend said to me, but it's a matter of who's the biggest, and it does matter. That big name, that law firm, or the partner who you have, it definitely helps. Definitely,
yes, I agree with you. So, Tanya, I want to ask you a little bit of your interaction with your customers or your clients. You said we help them with goal settings and long and short-term goal settings, and then keep them accountable. Like, so what's kind of like the process of like your way of helping your clients?
So the first thing we do is we do an annual action plan. So we envision what their year looks like. Then every month we break down those goals, and we get them to the point of having them get comfortable with either hiring people or outsourcing their work. And then most small businesses, when they do, they're doing word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they're going through the whole feast and famine, right? And it's not predictable what their revenue is. So one of the first things we do is we look, okay, how can we get them into having predictable leads come in, right? And how can we have them get an efficient system so that they have the leads and how they can start closing them? So they learn from one another. And like, somebody can be the best marketer, but they can't be the best marketer from themselves because they're just too close to their business.
Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree. Yes.
Hey, Tanya, we also read on your profile that you had some interactions with the U.S. Olympic team. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was actually my summer internship. I remember this very clearly. So I believe that I was selected from a pool of a really big pool. Then it got narrowed down to like about 200 people. And then I got picked. I was so excited. And so here I am in this like marketing internship. And all of a sudden they gave me a stack of papers to do. And I was like, wait, is this the marketing internship I got? So I stayed up all night. I remember, I think I drank like a Red Bull. I never drink those things. And I drank it. And I literally like for 24 hours, put all of that in, came in the next day and I said, okay, I finished that. And they're like, well, that was your whole project. And I was like, well, it's done. Oh. And the cool thing is I got to do really cool projects. I got to like work with Nike on it. On another project, I got to see how logos and branding, how much that those Olympic rings really cost, the negotiation, all of that. I got to support all these people. So it was exciting. So I always tell anybody that's looking into jumping, being an entrepreneur, like when they're in college, like get the internship, whatever they give you. And if it's grunt work, just go through it very quickly so you actually show up differently, that you can handle a lot of work and challenging work.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Hey, Tanya, don't go away. I mean, we have a couple of words for one of our sponsors, and Claudia's gonna tell us more.
Okay, so it's Maurice plus D'Angelo CPAs Extraordinary, where accounting is never boring. So these guys have price is not based on time. Customers decide on value to them. Call them with any questions, whether it's slow, fast, and it's included. Period of the chart. Sorry, this is my first time doing this. I didn't know we were doing this, so I'm learning.
Sorry.
Sending invoices for phone calls, emails, texts, or meetings. So what is this about? Can you
just
tell me a little
contact
bit?
them directly at https://www.cpadudes.com startup radio.
Okay.
All right.
My
we
first
move on.
time.
Yeah, your first
Okay.
time. That's all right. We're learning. This is a learning curve. So, thank you, Tanya. Thanks for waiting for us. We also look at your profile, and we were curious. Where do you come from? And we know you're from Miami, from Colombian parents. What kind of inspiration do you draw from them?
So my oldest sister, Natasha, she's 8 years older than me. She was actually born with a rare disease, it's a bone disease called osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bones.
Okay.
So I got to see how powerful my mom was in raising my sister. So imagine my mother is a single parent. Her first child is in a wheelchair and is breaking bones often. And so my mom was never one of those people who was just like constantly like she was always telling people, and especially my sister, that she's able to do anything. So on our walls we had a poem that was like, don't quit, and it's like, don't quit when things go wrong, as they sometimes will. I can like tell the whole poem right now, but she would put inspirational quotes, and she could tell us we could achieve anything. So my sister Natasha never thought that since she was in a wheelchair that anything stopped her. And it's with that kind of energy and that kind of goal-oriented and just, I don't know even the word for it. Like, I just got to see my sister, who most people would have like challenges, and what she did is she just faced on the challenge like it never existed.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like those kind of situations. Sometimes they put us in a different set of mind, of life. Definitely, now that you're saying like you work for Nike, and it makes me think about I used to work for Nike. I worked for them for 16 years, and before that, I was in Mexico with my grandma. I grew up with my grandma, that person that like put me into all these. Wanted to do big things in life. So just what you're saying is like my family didn't have a lot, so I couldn't go to college in Mexico. So I was just like, well, I was born in California, so I'm just going to go to the US and to work for Nike. And I was here by myself, and then I didn't speak the language. I didn't have anybody. My family was all in Mexico, and that gave me the courage to just keep going, and then learning the language, because we're in a different country. And then if you are going to be here, you want to be successful in a country that speaks another language, you have to learn the language. So finally got to work for Nike for 16 years, and it was the best experience of my life. I myself, like, I love running. So when I was reading your story, it was just like, it makes me just so happy to see women like you that are always inspiring others and then helping others in a way that, like you say, a marathon, like you describe it, for me too, like a marathon is like a life. It's something that you work for it, you train.
It's a huge time commitment.
It's a huge time commitment,
yeah.
And then you leave things from your personal life to
family,
to commit to it, and then that's exactly what having a business and your life.
Absolutely,
basically,
it becomes
it's a commitment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that I don't run marathons, obviously. Look at me, but my dad still does, and he's an animal. He ran. He went. I mean, from Mexico City marathon to Boston to New York, Vancouver. I mean, he did some of the biggest marathons in the land. So and I remember it's amazing. The time commitment, but also. The nutrition. You have to be extremely disciplined, especially if you're running, with a particular goal in mind.
To qualify, right, Tanya? Because you're in Boston. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Boston was great, but to add on to that marathon, it's like you can go into physical shape, but what it comes down to at one point is all mental. Because you can get yourself to a
Exactly.
certain point, but like those last miles, it is like just mental toughness to get through.
Totally.
And that's how it is in a business, right? You can prepare yourself as much as you want, but you are going to get pushed and punched, and you just got to get up and just be mentally strong.
Totally, I agree with you. I feel like we have things in common. I still trying to pursue my dreams and then to do like what we call the American dream here in the U.S. So I just like I'm very happy to talk to people like you that inspire me and they give me the energy to see that Latina women are in this position and this country. And well, thank you so much for like everything you're doing. And so.
And that's exactly
think,
what we're trying to showcase here in Latino Founder
exactly.
Hour, you know, just truly inspirational and motivational stories. And who you are personally, you know, what you want to share with the audience and just, you know, where you're going in the future as well, because I'm sure you have plans, Tanya.
Yeah, and thank you for those kind words. So the plan is to get right now the percentage of entrepreneurs failing within the first 5 years is 90%. And I thought that was just terrible and it needs to be fixed. So I want every entrepreneur to start and have that support to move forward and getting them more into teams so they can actually move that to move that from 9% failure to 9% success. So it's a huge mission.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And really getting people to get more information on how to tackle, like there's so much information out there, but you don't know what's right and what are people just saying, right? Sometimes like somebody will be saying how successful their company is when it's really not the numbers, or they're giving you marketing advice and they don't have numbers to get behind it. So what I'm trying to do is get more transparency in the data. And since we have all in Owners Up, we have all these members logging in what they're doing and stuff, people will be like, oh, so this is what I can be doing in marketing. This is what my conversion rate should be. This is what my target should be.
Okay, it's fascinating. You know, we actually run a startup, and you know, those are the exact metrics that we're running by. I mean, we try to be as accurate as possible because, you know, ultimately we're just really counting on we're squeezing every dollar that we have in our budget, which is minuscule, you know, and it's the only way to really keep going and keep track of who your customer is, how much, you know, your customer is costing you, your customer acquisition costs, your revenue per user per month, etc. So it's a matter of just finding and defining those metrics on your business.
And that's a really good first step for most people. They probably won't even know their cost per acquisition.
No, nothing at all. And I think it should be, you know, the cost of acquisition and your revenue per user should be just your first benchmark in any business. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, if you're in the food, services, etc. I think you should start with that benchmark. Yeah,
and a lot of people who are doing word of mouth, they can still calculate their cost per acquisition based on their time.
Absolutely. And that's, you know, actually time, you know, we found that most of the entrepreneurs don't take that into account. And is one of the biggest misconceptions on, you know, calculating your cost, your true cost, but also, you know, miscalculating how much, you know, how profitable your business is going to be in the long run.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, again, like just a small comment right here about what you're talking about, making it easier to digest. Yeah. I have customers that they say I want to open a business, and then they don't put in consideration the time that they need to put to make this product or this service. They don't put any consideration of like how much it's going to cost, how much is going to like the rent for the place
all
that I'm going to be
overhead,
exactly overhead. So that's something that that a person that is going to start a business needs to understand that it's a process. That is a process that no, you cannot just start a business right now. It's a process, and then you need to be set up for success, and then need to find the right people to help you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, Tanya, tell us a little bit more of the, how, the process on starting Owners Up, like the actual logistics. Do you look for investors? Do you put up some money? How do you find your co-founders? I mean, how difficult was it just to get your idea, and get it into place?
Yeah. So I built software with a team before, and I knew I wanted to build this out as software. But at that time, I was like, well, let me first test this out. So what I did is I sent an email out to a bunch of friends, and I said, and people who've contacted me for marketing advice for their company. And I said, okay, well, here I'm doing this new company. I want to offer you this. And it's going to be at a low rate, but I want to make sure that you have skin in the game. So I'm making you guys pay for it. And usually the cost of me per hour is going to be covering what this is and more, right? And I said, I'm only going to be able to take on 25 people, and it's going to be for 3 months. And I got to test out how I would build out the system with these people. And everyone said yes. I was actually surprised. I was like, okay, this is great. So then I kind of played around with a software called Basecamp to manage how the software would be. And then I was like, okay, now I know what I want. So let me find a co-founder to build out the technology. I was either going to pay for it, and I had some people, some programmers that I was looking at, but I was like, you know what, let me see if there's any software out there. And I was researching, I couldn't find anything. But then on a forum of Reddit, there's these programmers that were saying, hey, we're building this accountability software. I'm like, oh, great. So I reached out to them, and I find out that this was kind of like their side project. It was for fun. And they built out the software, but I wanted to test it out. So I reached out to one of the partners. The guy replied back to me. He's like, oh, we didn't really build out the whole thing. I was like, I would love for you to build it out. Here's my idea. And we were talking back and forth for, I would say, almost 6 months to almost a year. No, it was probably like 6 months. And then he built out the software, and he became my business partner. And I got really lucky. He's a full stack developer.
Oh, wow.
Which a full stack developer is a front end, so the people who design the user experience, and then the back end, which are the people who program how it functions the databases in the back. And so I always call full stack developers unicorns.
They're hard to find.
And
they
are very hard
rare,
to find.
Yeah.
And so I got really lucky. I looked at a forum, I contacted the people, and he became my business partner.
Oh, that's great. But again, no founding, no external founding. I mean, funding.
No, it was just my money and then just experience. I always tell people, try to first bootstrap it and get some traction.
Yeah.
And then really think, if you need the funding, where is it going to take you? And where do you want your exit? Sometimes, for me, I really want to see this making an impact on the world. I want this to be like the legacy.
Okay.
This is a business where I want to make the difference.
So you're not really building a business just to, a quick turnaround and exit and make a pile of money.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm really interested in just seeing the difference of these entrepreneurs and having it where it goes on, and we really meet that metric of more entrepreneurs succeeding.
That's great. And now is the service, for an entrepreneur, is that free, or how do you monetize your platform?
We charge $497 a month.
Okay.
And then it's just month to month.
I see. For entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we're probably going to come up with a model that's a little bit lower for the idea stage people, but right now we haven't come up with that yet.
So, and then how long they can be with you? So somebody will be like, okay, so I think I'm good. This is all the help that I need from your service. And
so it's month to month, so they can decide to leave the group. But usually we have our people stay on longer than a year.
Longer than a year. Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
Really
so that talks about the product. Yeah. Because it's not a cheap product, but if it's giving you results, it's definitely worth the value.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. What we found out is like, if you have an issue, most people have challenges and they think about it, it's in their head. Now imagine being able to solve it with people and being able to turn around. Because time is the biggest thing. So it's really just, to get the best facilitators, get everything moving. That's the cost. And we also want people to have skin in the game too.
No, absolutely. Hey, Tanya, let me just do a quick word to another of our sponsors, Pork Bun, where domains, websites, and internet commerce for the rest of us. Pork Bun, where you can get the website names for your personal or a business brand with the lowest prices and amazing service fees. We all have heard of .com, .net, .org, but a lot of people don't know that you can get the domain name that matches what your startup does or your company. So if you're a design entrepreneur, you could get a .design domain name, etc. So contact them at porkbun, porkbun.com/startup radio now and grab your website and domain name.
Awesome. So, talking about websites, Tanya, so a website is very important to start a business. What can you tell us about building a website for our businesses that are out there that don't have a website?
So there's a lot of great platforms these days, like Wixie, Squarespace, you're able to kind of design a website and it's drag and drop. I definitely think that I always tell people, don't worry about your business card. Don't worry about your website. When you first start a business, just go out there and sell a client, especially if you're a service-based business.
Make money first.
Make money, yeah. And then once you have like people who don't know you, because your first customers are probably going to be people who you've met or have interacted. And most of the time, they're just going to go based on who you are being at that moment.
Yeah.
And then the people, once you get to a level where you're making money, then start doing your website.
Okay.
But what ends up happening is entrepreneurs agonize of how their business, their website looks like. And, that's time wasted.
And money, the resources. And absolutely right. The first you have to, I've never heard of a person saying, look, I closed this business because of my business card.
Yes.
Or because of my website. No, you close business based on relationships, based on how you sell a product, and if you have value added.
Yeah. So I have a different approach of this conversation. I think that a website will give you more as a contact with your customer, especially if you don't know them. They will look at you. Like right now, everything is just like technology. Right now, everything is just like if you're not on the web. They basically you don't exist. So and then you find reviews, you find the story of the business, you find and then that's kind of like a click to connect with the client to be like, okay, you're telling a story about your product, about your business, and then if you like the story, if you connect with the story, you're like, oh, I like that, and I don't know. I think a website is very important.
I definitely believe a website is very important. Just depends on what stage you're at. So I thought you were talking about entrepreneurs who are just starting. When they just start, of course you have to have your story.
I see.
But yeah, if you've existed as a business owner, you don't have a website, like you're doing something well. You're really good in sales, right?
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Perfect.
So, Tanya, do you have any stories about successes but also failures, and what have they taught you?
Yes, absolutely. So I love failing. Anytime I'm failing, I know that I'm expanding and I'm learning. And that's really important because how you contextualize the word failure, right? If you think of failure as I'm a failure, this is awful, life is over, then you're always going to not embrace failure. But when you think of failure as like, wow, I'm trying out something new, I'm learning, I'm expanding, then you're always going to be in a growth mindset. So every time I'm always putting like personally and business professionally, I'm always putting challenges on myself that I know that I'm probably not going to achieve. And it's just that expansion that allows me to grow and really test my abilities. So right now, my personal challenge is reading 2 books a month. And that's kind of hard for me with everything I'm going on, but I've been trying to find ways to have an audio book instead of reading. So if I'm walking or I'm doing something, I'm listening and I'm getting 2 books in. The other time was doing meditation. I'm more of an athlete. I love high intensity workouts, and that's how I kind of relax. So staying still would be a hard one for me, but I challenge myself and I've been able to do 20-minute everyday meditations. But in the beginning, I have to say, I failed a lot. I was like, how am I going to do this? And professionally, there's so many in the business world that I've done, like marketing campaigns. Actually, one of the companies where I raised the money for, right when we were going through the financial due diligence, I was a CEO, and at that time, I was a CMO at first, and then they put me as a CEO because they're like, oh, you'll have the credentials, you can run the company and raise the money, right? And when we were raising money, I got so caught up into everything, and I was like, is this what I really want to do? Mm-hmm. I know that if I take this money, it's another path. And at that time, I wasn't married, and I knew myself that if I took someone's money, I would probably work like crazy and probably put my health at risk because I wanted to make sure I succeeded. So I actually resigned.
Oh, wow.
As a CEO. And that was one of the biggest and hardest decisions in my life. And I realized that what was this being because I wanted to prove something that I could do something, or is this really aligned to what I want? So as business owners, like entrepreneurs, there's always a way where you just got to say, what is it the life that I want to run? Am I doing this based on ego or just kind of proving something? Am I doing this because it's aligns to my values? Am I doing this because I want to make a difference? Mm-hmm. And that really helps out what type of business you're going to be doing and what you're willing to commit to.
Exactly. And I bet like from that moment you had your defined moment, and then now it opened that door to open your own business, right? To be your,
from that moment on, I made sure that I wanted to do something that made a difference, and then also had more of, I like to say equilibrium, not balance, because equilibrium is you're in a constant trying to get that to that equilibrium position. But I knew that for me, I wanted to spend time building a family, and then also working, making a difference, and then volunteering. And that was really important to me because if I think about, like I said earlier, why was I successful? I had such an amazing support system in my family. And I want to make sure that I'm able to create that support structure too and be there and not just be working like crazy all the time.
Yes. I think a lot of us have the same story. When you meditate and when you are ready for that you're ready to receive from up high, and then you go through a lot of things, and then it comes in a point where you're like, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to make a difference, and then boom, things happen for a reason, and it's just it's so easy, organically, almost, right?
Yeah, it's challenging when the time happens, and you just gotta really look in and challenge your values, write a list of your values, and really look at what is it that you want.
Exactly.
And now, as an entrepreneur and founder, have you ever felt like you need to take a couple of steps back and say okay, I need to reassess what I'm doing, not in a bad way, but it's okay, I need more time for myself, or I need time to realign to where where my personal life and my professional life align themselves?
Yeah, I would say in my first business, since I was 25, I was training for marathons, going out with friends, partying and working. 15 to 16 hour days. My body could take that.
Wow.
Back then. But now it's a little bit different. I need to have that balance of being able to work out. And now I'm working smarter. So I'm trying to when I have all the list of things I have to achieve, I think about which one can I actually, what can I spend my time that's going to get the most return on investment. and how do I go about that? And then I also start deciding a lot of people want to learn everything, right? And I think learning is great, but at one point it's better to hire people or to do, and if you're not at that place to financially hire somebody, do a barter. Meaning you offer what you're an expert at and they offer what they're an expert at, and then you exchange services. And I think that's important because I know a lot of people who are trying to learn how to do Facebook ads and doing AdWords themselves, which is great, but you really need to like AdWords and like Facebook changes their algorithm all the time.
Absolutely.
So is that what you want to do for your life? Like be on top of that.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. No, we cannot become experts in everything because once you have that mentality, I think it's a recipe for failure. Like it's a quick recipe for failure in a small business. Just try to deny that you need help and that you can. Even if you don't have the resources, you can always have a trade in.
Yes.
And just bring people that actually have the passion, have more knowledge, and that can execute quicker into the vision.
Claro. Y bueno, Tanya, ¿cuál es el consejo? Yo creo que estamos aquí, tenemos 5 minutos más.
Sí, 5 minutillos más.
Ok. ¿Cuál es el consejo que les darías a todos los emprendedores que nos están escuchando?
It's a great one. I would say that running a business is like running a marathon, and really embrace the falling and really embrace it as something to learn. And then the 2 most important things is have a support team and make sure you just put people together and have them support, check in on them weekly so they encourage you out of your comfort zone, because you can't do it and you don't have to do it by yourself. And then just to have grit and gratitude and really appreciate the journey you're on, no matter what the roller coaster ride is.
Definitely.
Because we never know, when you're going to be up or down.
Yes.
And you need help in actually both.
Yes.
Not only when you're
exactly.
down. When you're up, you need people to help you maintain yourself on top.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Tanya, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And where can people log in, and where can they find you online? And Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Where are your handles?
The handles is Owners Up, and we have it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And then you can always go to the website, ownersup.com. And if anybody has any questions or anything, they can also email me at Tanya, Tanya, @ownersup. I'm here to support anybody. And even if you guys just need a quick question, I really want to make sure every entrepreneur succeeds.
Awesome. So we're going to post this on our handles too. So if anyone is listening, they really want to contact you and just get into your platform, they get a chance, to log in and get that support network. That's again, like we've been saying all hour. It's extremely important for us to have. Well, Thank you so much, Claudia.
Thank you,
Welcome
Tanya.
back. Welcome.
Yes.
It was good to see you. Good to have you back.
So, Tanya, how's the weather over there?
Oh, that's just evil.
Let's not show her a picture.
Cold, yeah.
It is really cold. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like we're cold over here, but like it started getting better. Like we see like the sun coming up, and then a lot of people start getting ready for our spring season.
Yeah.
So yes, I haven't been in New York, and that's one of my goals. Like in the future, I want to be able to travel over there and then run in the La Gran Manzana.
Yeah.
Sí,
The Big Apple.
The Big Apple. That's one of my big goals in life too.
Oh yeah, the New York Marathon is amazing. Just running through Central Park, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I need to like.
My wife
think
has
of
run
that.
it twice.
Wow.
And it's been amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I only went with her once, and the second time she was on her own with her friends. I was
Yeah.
like, see ya.
ya.
But it was amazing. Just the energy and the boroughs, it was amazing. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Well,
much,
thank
Tanya.
you.
Well, stay warm. I know it's been snowing like crazy in New York. And thank you so much for listening to Latino Founder Hour and StartupRadioNetwork.com. Thanks, and happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
You've been listening to the Latino Founder Hour podcast with your hosts, Edgar Navas, founder of Cliqa, and Claudia Cardenas.
El programa Latino Founder Hour es grabado en las instalaciones de NetSpace en el estudio Bigfoot Podcast en la hermosa ciudad de Portland.
Our audio engineer, mixer, and podcast editor is Alon Beausoleil.
Diseñador de logo, Carolyn Main.
Our network logo was designed by Jessica Chan.
Diseñador de sitio web, Cameron Grimes.
Our production assistant is Chelsea Lancaster.
Tema de música, Funnin' and Sunning, de Kevin MacLeod. Cree en ti mismo, sueña en grande y confía en el universo, de Marta Leticia y Silvia Romero.